Lahore Grammar School Quetta, lesson by Faiza Shah for grade 7. Component is poetry, and we are covering the topic haiku. What's kind of poetry, and what is poetry basically? What do we understand by poetry? It's a type of literature. It is like an artistic writing. And normally, when you write in an artistic way, it attempts to stir a reader's imagination or emotion. So, when you write a piece of poem, it should be mind stirring, mind boggling. When a person is reading, they should feel what the writer was trying to convey, and if the writer is trying to explain it could be nature, it could be a person, it could be a beautiful way of saying good things about a person, it could be about a place. And since we're doing haiku, I'd like you to understand haiku mostly it tells us about nature, about seasons. So one have to be carefully choosing and arranging words. Sound, yes, sound really matters in poetry. When you're reading it, it will become a rhythm, and that rhythm will come with sound, and sound comes from your syllables, and that is what we're going to discuss further. Some poems such as nursery rhymes that you know already, they are simple and funny. You can write a funny haiku as well if you wish to, but then haiku is mostly, it's about seasons. You can describe season in a way that it becomes very sophisticated. And the good part of writing a haiku is that you don't have to rhyme. So there are no rhyming words in it. So you can write 575, and that is the key behind writing a haiku. So who invented haiku? Before we understand how to write a haiku, let's see who invented haiku first. Well, there were 4 master haiku poets from Japan. They are known as the Great Four: Matsuo Basho, Kobayashi Isa, Masaka Shiki, and Yosuke San. And please excuse my accent here, because this is what I understand, this is how they are pronounced. So their work is still the model for traditional haiku writing today. Haiku can be traced back as far as the 9th century, but it was properly introduced in 13th century. A haiku is considered to be more than a type of poem. Why? Because it's a way of looking at the physical world and seeing something deeper, like the very nature of existence. So you see, it's all about nature. Do you see the picture here? It has 3 lines in it. You see that? It's a Japanese writing, but then as you can see, there are 3 lines of haiku. Along with it, it describes the there is a painting of mountains and a waterfall and bushes, and that's what the haiku is all about. It's all about nature. It should leave the reader with a strong feeling or impression. So if you're writing about, let's say, your own, let's say if you're talking about Pakistan, or we can talk about northern areas, we can talk about Balochistan is very beautiful. We can talk about Sindh, we can talk about Punjab, whatever you wish to write. But by the end of the day, the reader must be left with a strong feeling, right? Or with an impression. So let's see what a haiku is. Haiku is a traditional Japanese 3-line poem with 17 syllables. Syllables, I hope you know what syllables are. Well, I'm going to explain further. Then it is written in 575 syllable count. Please keep in mind that although it's a form of poetry, but it doesn't rhyme. So that's a good thing. Whatever you're going to write, it doesn't have to rhyme. However, it often focuses on images from nature. So when we are writing our haiku, we make sure that we make a beautiful picture with it, so that we can, describe it further with words. Now, Haiku emphasizes simplicity, intensity, and directness of expression. For example, here there are three examples of haiku. Number one is hummingbird. Now we all know that hummingbirds are very small. They're as small as bees. They're very small. So it says chirping in the trees. Well, that's true. It's a bird, so it'll chirp. In mid-air with beating wings. Yes, they beat their wings so fast that you can hardly see their wings. They do that. So that's another good point. And then tiny precious bird. Yes, it's very tiny and it's very precious. They normally get their food from flowers, so they're quite close to the nature of bees. Now, how do we count the syllables here? First line should have 5 syllables. Second line should have 7 syllables. And then the third line again must have 5 syllables. So chirping, chirping in the trees. Chirping in the trees. Can you count how many are they? Chirping are 2. And then in, that's 1. The, that's another 1. And then trees, that's also 1. So altogether, chirping in the trees, that's 5. Now, in mid-air with beating wings. Now, beating are 2 syllables, so that makes it 7. Now, the last one, tiny. Tiny are 2 syllables. Tiny, precious. Precious, again, 2 syllables. And then bird is 1 syllable. That is how you will count your syllables and make sure that you follow the rule of 5-7-5, right? So they're all together 17 syllables, right? Again, the person who wrote this haiku is Miss Lawson, and she made a little hummingbird along with the poem. So this is what I want in your notebook as well. When you're writing your haiku poem, make sure you make your beautiful picture along with it. Then the second one is by Miss Larson again, and it's waves. Now, what are waves? They are curling blue water. Yes, they do curl. It's like blue water is curling in the sea, splashing at the sandy shore. So curling blue water. That's curling 2. Blue is 1, water is 2. Again, so there are 5. Splashing at the sandy shore. Splashing at the sandy shore. That's 7. Then beautiful ocean, right? Beautiful ocean. That is beautiful 3 syllables, and ocean are 2 syllables. So that is 5-7-5 again. The last one is mountains, also by Miss Larson. Whoa, reaching to the sky, birds singing in the pine trees, home for animals. You see, mountains are mostly known for these evergreen pine trees, and that is what the picture here tells us. It's pine trees, and they represent, because they're very tall, so they represent mountains as well, because they're normally grown very close to the mountains. Reaching to the sky, that's what mountains are. They're very, very high. Birds singing in the pine trees. Yes, pine trees grow very close to the mountains. So, home for animals. Yes, pine trees are home for animals. So, I hope I'm clear. Now, writing a haiku poem is sophistication. Trust me, if you tell your friends or you tell your family that you know how to write a haiku, they'll be like, wow, you know how to write a haiku? What is haiku? You can tell them that haiku is it's a Japanese poetry, and they use the rules of 5-7-5 that are 17 syllables together, and you can write about beautiful nature. Now get ready to start practicing writing some haiku. Once you have written a few and feel comfortable enough to share your poems with friends and family members, then read it out loud to a friend and ask one if one can guess which season you have highlighted in your haiku poem. It's fun to share your work with the people who already are familiar, and that obviously is me. You're gonna share your work with me, but then it'll be even more fun if you teach it to someone. So you can teach others about haiku. Make sure to thoroughly go over all the rules. That is very important, just the way I told you. And then challenge your friends and family and classmates to create some poems of their own, right? So assignment of the day, don't forget to share your poem with me. That obviously your assignment to be shared with me for me to check. You need to write down haiku on the following topics, that is harvest, angels, golden retriever, and tornado. In order to write your own poem on the given topic, don't forget to draw a picture next to your poem in order to make it colorful and more descriptive. Now I want your poetry books to be fun. I want your poetry books to be your poem books to be your personal poem book, and by the end of the year you're going to have your own very own personal poem book that you can share with your friends and family, that you have your own poem book. See, so you'll be a poet by the end of the year, right? Now when you're writing haiku, there are certain points that you need to keep in mind. For example, the topic that is given to you is harvest. So you need to keep in mind the questions that will come in your mind. It's like, what is the meaning of the topic? So that is exactly what are you going to do with the angel, golden retriever, and tornado. First, you need to understand the meaning of the topic. For example, harvest, it means to gather, to reap, or to collect. And then harvest indicates a season or not. So, well, yes, it indicates the season of autumn. What can be related to the topic? Farmers, crops, wheat, corn, festival, autumn, colors, and leaves, and harvest, moon. Yes, that's a full moon. It's a beautiful moon. Normally, when people write their poetry, even here in Japanese, they write about harvest moon all the time. So that'll be a good point if you keep that in mind. How can I write an appealing poem on the topic? Well, you draw a beautiful picture related to the topic in your notebook, and then write what you see. When you see, for example, what I see here are beautiful clouds. So you can use the word clouds and make a sentence out of it. Blue clouds, white clouds, and then make sure they are 5, 7, or 5. Okay? And then we have here is a dragonfly and with flowers and grass. So that could be another point. Let's move on. Example by the teacher. Now this is what I have. Harvest, leaves fall in silence. So leaves is 1, fall is 1, in is 1, silence 2 syllables. So there are 5. A chill dances on the wind. So that's again 7 syllables. Harvest lights the moon. Right? That's 5 syllables. Angels. I caught a feather blowing through the air. It fell from an angel's wing. Right? So boys and girls, please make sure you make your own beautiful poem book, and I want you, by the end of the year, I want you all to have your own personal poetry book that you can share with your friends and family. And you know, it's a beautiful thing to do. It's the most beautiful thing to do, you know, when you know how to describe something and when you know how to choose your words properly. It'll really help you. So have a good day till we meet again. Please don't forget to submit your assignments by Friday. Take care. Bye bye.